Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome to Thursday Talk. Event-based scenarios we'll be discussing, and tonight's episode or event is grid collapses. What are your plans now? Alrighty, so let's skip over here. And right now I'm by myself. I'm not sure where everybody's is. It's maybe because I forgot to shave and everybody's afraid to come up here with me. So let's go ahead and see who all's here. And looks like we got a large number here. All right, first one in was Walt Rogers, followed by Super Scout, followed by Hugo Homestead. Uncle Al came in. Q Kitchen and Beyond. Suburban Hillbilly. Mary Beth Smith. Let's see what else we got here. Warren Lewis came in. And Maccabeus Everyday Survival. Hey, Jehodek. And Texas Rob. Everybody's chit-chatting here. And Tina Weber just came in. P2E's here. Jenny Pennington is here. And Kaylin Strain's in the house. Ryan the Gamer is here. The Kraken is here. And I'm caught up here. And I've got an echo here on my end. I don't think you guys are getting it. Let me see what I got here now. And try to figure out where this echo is at. I think I know where it's at. Let me check one other spot here. Oh, I know what it is. Hang on, I got another video playing on a different part here. So give me a second here. Yeah, there it is. Another one. I got to turn down, but I didn't have it muted. So yeah. All right. So yeah, you're not hearing it. I could tell because it was so soft that usually what happens, I'm watching other videos beforehand, and sometimes I try to follow so many channels that I just let the videos play so they get their watch time, and I just check on them now and then. So that's what it was. It was a video I was reviewing that I was just letting play for a friend of mine, Nerd of the Rings, does everything, Lord of the Rings, Gandalf, the Hobbits, and stuff like that, and I was running that for him. Alrighty. Pastor McQuaddy's in the house. How you doing? Alrighty. So let's go back over to here. So after the power grid collapses, so you've heard a lot of people talk about, we're going to have an EMP, we're going to have a weapon generated EMP, a sun generated EMP, nuclear device generated EMP. That's not what we're talking about tonight. We are not talking about one that fries the electrical grid. We're going to be talking about a collapse. All right. And we'll get into a little bit about that in a minute. So what can cause the collapse of the electrical grid? Storms. Taking stuff out. I'm going to explain all this, how it affects the main grid in a second here. So you got storms that can take down a local area. The bigger the lines are, the bigger the area that's impacted, and even a bigger area impacted. Now you get some of the substations and stuff, such as in Texas, where they're not used to snow and stuff like that. Hey, Emma. And all of a sudden they get freezing rains and stuff. I've got M. Lind. How you doing? And all of a sudden, yeah, Tina, you're right. Tornadoes. But in Texas, they had a power outage that wiped out a lot. Took them down for a while because they're not used to freezing temperatures, and so their equipment there is not built to the standard that the northern states are to deal with the freezing temperatures. And then they had the sleet and the rain sticking on there, and the tolerances for the isolators on the power lines aren't as wide apart as they are in the northern states. So the ice built up and they had arcing across and shorting out. So yeah, and so these insulators here, some of them in the south aren't as tall or separated, so stuff can arc across and you get ice buildup. And speaking of ice buildup, ice building up on trees can take sections down. Here you go. You got ice built up all over on this, and if that's dirty ice, any sort of smoke and stuff, particles in it, it creates an arc effect, and you could have lines arcing across one to another and taking out a portion of the grid there. And of course, if you've anything in the news for the last 3-4 years, California, hey, it's burning. Washington, hey, it's burning. Oregon, same thing. Yeah, and they were losing power lines up there because the fire would get so hot, it would the heat would melt or soften the aluminum or the copper, whatever they're using in the lines there, and it starts sagging. Sometimes the whole tower should just melt and twist and bend down. And Emma says Denver lost power last week. So, like I said, some of the fires get really big and they cause all sorts of problems. And, fires happen everywhere, every state. So you never can tell where it's going to happen. Hey, Projects of Paul. Welcome to the channel here. And okay, now I'm going to talk about one other thing before I get into explaining how all this works. The other thing, volcanoes. Granted, when last time we have a big one here in the United States, I believe that was Mount St. Helens. And they had problems with the ash getting on the high power transmission lines there and causing ash buildup, and then had a short across. So ash can affect the power lines as well. The transformers on the poles outside your house and stuff, it can cause those to arc across. So let's go down to the next one here. Okay, so we're going to get into some ground truths here. But before I get into the ground truths, we're going to talk about the first one: natural events or maintenance failure. Now, what I've talked about so far here is nature causing small things here and there, and sometimes larger areas of power failure. Well, if you get a couple of them happening at the same time, you're going to get a domino effect. And the domino effect happened, back east several times, where they had the big blackouts back east, took out the northeast and part of Canada, where breakers start flipping and tripping, and the backfeed surge was too much for other stations to handle, and they went down. Another one went down, and then the generator couldn't shut down the generators at the power plants fast enough, and they're still kicking out full power, and it starts frying things here, there, and everywhere. Well, that was back in the 60s. And they haven't really taken care of maintenance on replacing a lot of stuff, unless it's broken. So there's stuff that's just barely working. And if you start getting another good power surge, domino effect, it's going to wipe out, boom. Usually the domino effect isn't nationwide. It's regional, and it's, a couple days, 3-4 days for the major stuff to get back up. And then the outlying areas, it takes, up to a week or so for them to get them all up and going. Well, what I'm talking about here is this happening on a grander scale, which is quite possible. Because basically the entire United States is interconnected with the exception of Texas. Texas is separated from the big grid because they don't want to be connected and relying on everybody else. And so if you have areas start going down, it can domino effect right across the United States, especially if you get several happen at one time and you get a big surge going, and it's just going to start skipping right on across faster than the breakers can trip. Oh, and so we got here, I'm checking the side chat. Uncle Al says, fire and snow. Kaylin says transformers can burn easily because they're filled with oil. Very true. And the other thing, transformers, not the ones on the power poles, the ones in the substations, those aren't easily made. There's a lot of wire around. It takes months to make one. And the back order on it because they're no longer made in the United States. They're made over in Europe. And so another in Asia as well. And it takes, when they order one, they got to order it a year or two in advance, because that's how long the backlog is on making stuff. So if they're ordering stuff out to put in, but the problem is if we lose several of them and we don't have spares sitting around here anywhere, it's going to be months or possibly years for them to get some of those over here. And I froze again. Now, granted, if it's a real big emergency here, the government's going to step in and say, hey, yeah, rush this. We want priority. We'll pay the extra fee to get, first ones off the line. But still, it's going to have a major impact on us. So I'm going to cover a couple scenarios here. The first one is a short scenario, short term. And okay, hang on 1 second. I'm going to check the chat here. Don't know. Emma says she's don't know if Texas is really disconnected. They were told they might have blackouts in order to send power to Texas. Problem is, to do that, they had to hook up to Texas, and generally the lines aren't hooked up. Kaylin says her brother's property was so remote, he could be in the dark for a month after a power outage hit his place, in Arkansas. And okay, Hurricane Florence power grid was out September 12th through October, so almost a month in 2019 from Hurricane Florence, according to Ryan there. Yeah, Emma, there are several other states that want to disconnect from the large interconnection grid and want to try to run on own, so they don't have to ship power elsewhere, and so they're more isolated and they're able to manage a disaster in their area better. That's what some of them are wanting to do. Texas just didn't want to. Texas, being stubborn and independent, didn't want to be tied into the main grid. All right, so back to scenario. Scenario one, duration of several weeks. So we have something like a major winter storm across parts of the central portion, plain states and stuff, and the East Coast and everything, and you suddenly have, at the same time, you could have a couple substations go down, and now you have a domino effect affecting the area. Now, if it's a minor one, when I say minor on this type of a scale, it may be several weeks, 3, 4, 5, now we're talking not just one little remote area. We're talking like St. Louis without power for 2 or 3 weeks. New York without power for a couple weeks, Philadelphia, Memphis, whatever you're talking, big cities being without power for weeks, and not just one location. We're talking over covering several states, or if not the entire of the United States, a good regional section of the United States. Hey, Gear. Hey, Cosmic Cultivators. And Cosmic Cultivator says they got a winter storm approaching them right now. Kaylin's saying for almost 2 months or long for potable water. Yeah, okay, without power, and longer for potable water because they probably had to repair the water treatment plants as well. So if you have like 15 or 20 states that are down in a blackout, boom, because that region has been taken out. The Northwest, or not North, Northwest and mountain states and over into the plain states, it's going to be, it could be a problem trying to get stuff fixed up, especially out here if you have long swaths of power lines that were taken down by, ice buildup and just brought them down. And then you got your triggering and burning up transformers. That's going to have problems. That's going to take a while to fix. Hey, Mouse Toes. All right. And so this is not just a local, I'm not talking local areas like, part of Louisiana or part of Alabama or part of New York for state for a little bit. I'm talking at least 10, 15 states that are taken out at once. So this, because once you start having larger areas taken up, the resources that are available to go in there are spread even thinner out because you're covering a bigger area. So if one is out for, all right, let's give it 5 weeks. Say 5 weeks, the power's out. What are you going to do? What is your plan if all of a sudden, right now, bam, power's out, and if you have your laptop on internet, and for some reason the internet froze, the internet stays up for a little bit because they got their backup battery and generators at their the station stuff to power it, and also the word's getting out. Hey, it's half the United States is in a blackout. And as the time goes on, they're saying it's really bad. There are transfer stations and substations burning. And you realize, hey, this is not going to be an easy fix. What's your plan to deal with this? You don't know how long it's going to be. Are you ready to deal with this, especially in wintertime? Well, I know some people say, I got a generator. Great. How much fuel do you have for that generator? That's where it gets a little bit sticky. I wish Bruce was up here because he can tell the tale of his folks. I guess they're down in Texas, and then after the Texas snowpocalypse, they got a generator. Well, I would like to find out from Bruce. I can't remember if he mentioned it, whether it's just a gasoline generator or whether it's a multi-fuel generator or whether it's a propane-powered generator or what it is. Okay, so Tina says they got 7 days worth of LP to power her home and get things in order. Bonus on propane, it doesn't go bad. So if you get one of those 5-gallon, quote, 20-pound bottles, and you pick one up one a month, at the end of the year, you'll have 12 bottles to run on. And of course, Maccabeus is laughing at us all. He's off grid, and he's laughing at us. Of course, he'll probably be giving out all sorts of information. And Mary Beth points out a thing. Most people, unless they have an office uninterrupted power source, one of those little battery packs, so you can have time to shut your computer down. And if you have your modem powered off of that, you'll have a little bit of time before it goes out. Because we've lost power here a couple times, and I just plugged the modem into one of my power stations, and I'm back on the internet. So that's one of the things you need to think about now. Hey, do you need to get one of those power stations, aka solar generators, or one of the UPS uninterrupted power supplies for offices that you can plug in and have it running your computer and your modem? Just checking here. Hey, Christy, how's it going? She has a dual fuel, runs on propane or gas. Very good. Very good. And Kaylin's right. For people that don't have generators, it's going to be harder, which is where this the power stations come in. The power stations, depending on what size you get and how many solar panels you get with it, you can keep certain things going for a while. Oh, Christy is planning. So they didn't have a fireplace that didn't work. Now it works. So good. So if you make sure you have stuff that goes. And Kaylin has 2 small power stations and solar panels. Now the reason I don't like calling them solar generators because A, they're not a generator. They're not just solar, because they come with a wall plug to plug it in to keep it charged up without having it hooked up to solar panels. So you keep it charged up all the time. And it's not a generator, it's a battery bank with an inverter and a regulator in it and everything else like, and a charger in it. So it's not a generator, it's a storage facility. It's a battery bank. Okay. Emma says heat would be the biggest concern for that. A kerosene heater with a few gallons of kerosene will do you for a while. However, I've got 3 kerosene heaters and I got a 55-gallon drum of kerosene, but that's for short term for me. That much kerosene is short term to. Now, I do have a wood burning stove here, and I got, several cords of wood for the winter, but it's not always going to be the primary way to heat. Let's see what else we got here on it. All right, Tina, I was actually, before we bought this house, we were looking at putting in a wood pellet stove across the street. Bonus point on this: if you get the right brand, and check them out. I can't remember what the brands were right now, but there is a brand, several of them actually, that not only does it take the wood pellets, they'll also burn corn kernels. So you get like the bags of corn, and you fill up the hopper with corn instead of the pellets, and it burns that too. So that's a renewable one where you can, in theory, if you have area to do it, you can plant a bunch of corn and harvest it, and you got fuel. All right. Maccabees is thinking outside the box, folks. So those little electric fans, you have on your radiators and stuff that keep running after you shut the motor off, cool things down. They can be duplicated into a generator to charge batteries. Along the same lines, I've tried this and I'm working on it. I'm trying to get the gearing figured out here. I have a couple old exercise bikes, and they stopped working the way they're supposed to be working. And so I've taken them and I've put alternators on them, single wire alternators hooked up to the bike. The problem is, when that kicks in, it gets so friggin' hard to do it because I got a too high of an amp one. I need to get something smaller, like a 10 or 15 amp alternator, and run it. Because what I have is a 35 and a 55 amp alternator, and unless I get the gearing changed around on that, it is all I can do is pedal for about 2 minutes, and I'm tired and I can't pedal anymore. But there are ways where you can generate electrical power in your house. Those they have bicycle powered ones for different type of voltage and stuff. You don't want to go down too low on the amperage, because you want to be able to charge stuff up while you're on it. You don't want to be on there for 5 hours to charge up your little power station. Yeah, there's one of those little inverters that plug into the cigarette lighter. They can charge a laptop. My wife actually has one that puts out 400 watts that she can actually use to keep a crock pot on low setting going. So, Duncan 1900, hey Brenda, and anybody else sneak in here? Okay, Dave. Yep, Southern Ohio Prepping. Hey, Dave. So, in a 1 week scenario, a 5 week scenario, we're kind of dealing with here. If you have a generator, do you have the fuel to run for 5 weeks? And you're thinking, that's a lot of fuel. Well, here's the thing. Are you planning things out? What do you need to run off your generator? If you have some of these power stations, you can plug those into the generator. When you fire the generator up, charge those up. You can also plug in your freezer and refrigerator and get those cool down again. In a case like this, you want to turn it to maximum cold, or just about maximum. So you're just about freezing the stuff in the refrigerator. You want it down just so it's before it freezes the melting stuff. Then once everything's cold, you run. So basically, you run the generator for about a half hour. You turn it off, and you don't run it again for another 6 hours. Then you turn it on and get everything. You make sure everything stays cold, and then turn it off. Did I say hi to Albany Mountain Homestead? I can't remember. If I didn't, I apologize. Hey, Albany Mountain. And we got Seabass just came in. All right. So if you have a generator, do not plan on running it all the time. And here's something else to think about. When I worked construction, I was in the shop for a while, and then I was on the fuel truck, the service. And I was on the service truck and the fuel truck going out there servicing the job sites. And the generators we had out there for either running the water pumps and stuff, every 7 days, we shut those things down and did an oil change on them. And we actually had a reservoir built on, that we custom built for it and went onto it. So instead of having only like 2/3 of a quart of oil in it, we had 4 quarts of oil that was set there so it wouldn't run out of oil. And it also helped keep it cool. It had more oil to keep, from it getting dirty, so it wouldn't get quite, the oil wouldn't get quite so dirty. Hey, Sarah Boss, how's it going? And so when you're thinking about running your generator, think of it this way. 50 hours, you need to turn that sucker off after, or 50 hours of running time. You've even been running for a couple hours here, a couple hours there. 50 hours, you need to do an oil change on it. Because, oil change is definitely a 50-hour thing for small generators. Now, if you got an oil reservoir on it, you can push it a little bit longer. Now, if you have an oil reservoir with a pump that to pump the oil around and a filter on it as well, you can go upward to 250 hours before you have to do a service on it. But that's one that's specifically designed for that, like one of these big old military ones or something, or the bigger ones. Okay, just checking to make sure on the chat here. Okay. Whoops. Tina just lost power. All good. That got them charging phone. So she's doing on her phone now. The laptop won't work because, she's probably using the hotspot to link up for the internet and stuff. All right, let's get back here. All right. So if you're only thinking about, short term, say 5 weeks or so, hopefully from tonight's discussion, you're taking notes and thinking about this. Or if you forgot to take notes, you'll go back and review some of the stuff we're saying here, especially some of the ideas coming out here in the side chat. The thing is, when you are thinking for that much of a time period, you think, all right, if I have to run the generator and I'm running it, say, 4 times a day, every 6 hours for half an hour, how long can I run it before I got to change the oil on it? How can I run it before it runs out of fuel? And a lot of them say that, it's good for 8 hours of runtime at half draw, which means if you have a 2,000 watt generator, a small one, that means that you're only pulling 1,000 watts on it. If you have a 5,000, that means you're only pulling 2,500 watts. So you got to make sure you understand what their sales pitch is on the box, saying, hey, it's good to do this, but only at this amount. This is checking here. Yeah, CB. Yeah, oil. Yeah, most people that way, CB. Most people don't even think about changing the oil in a generator because they hardly use it. Oh no! Ouch, Mary Beth. The new fridge quit on you. I would be on the phone screaming and yelling for them to get one out there to replace it. All right. Yeah, that is the bonus about losing power in the wintertime. You have a freezer outside, you just take everything outside, put it outside. And here I could have been doing that up until yesterday. Because yesterday the temperatures got above freezing, and the high today was 39. It's 37 right now. The low tonight is supposed to be only 36, so it's not going to freeze overnight. All my snow is melting. Just about the entire roof is clear now. So yeah, snow's melting here. The next time it gets below freezing isn't until Friday night, and it's been a couple days already where we've been above freezing. So unless you, of course, if you have lots of snow, you can make yourself a little miniature ice house and just pack it around stuff, pack it around your stuff so it has to melt all that before your stuff inside melts. Oh, they're coming out January 11th. So another 5 days to fix it. Oh, sorry, I froze. Dave's happy. He's getting a little snow there in Ohio. All righty. So generators is one thing, power generators. Now, here's something bonus to think about. If you've seen some of my videos, you talked about, get my mouth straight here. If you've seen some of my videos, you'll have seen I've talking about the generator I have here in Idaho. It's a tri-fuel, gasoline, propane, natural gas. And we have natural gas in the city here. So I can hook it up to the natural gas. So long as the natural gas doesn't go out, I'm good. And I got about 10, 20-pound bottles of propane that I can run it off of as well. Plus I have, here I have two of the power stations, and I got a couple hundred watts worth of solar panels. So I can charge that up for the important stuff like my CPAP. How many people in the side chat are on CPAP? Think about that. You may want to get just a 400, an 800, or a 1500 watt power station just for your CPAP, and run nothing else on it but your CPAP. I can run on my 400 watt. I can run my CPAP for 5 days, and then I have to charge it. So that's one of the things to look at. If you can get if you can afford to get a power station for your CPAP, it'll be a bonus for you and your spouse. Exactly, Mouse. It's not a luxury. It is required. With sleep apnea, it's required. If I don't have a CPAP, my wife swears when she's in the other room and I'm in bed and I start doing my my grizzly snore. She swears there's a couple grizzly bears in there fighting. I've actually at scout camp the one year I went to scout camp with, and I forgot to take my CPAP. I actually had to call and had my wife run it up to me because I was keeping several campsites awake all night long, including all my scouts. Ooh. Brenda says it's 8 degrees and feels like 2 and dropping in Missouri. All right. Everybody's saying happy birthday, Kaylin. So I guess today's Kaylin's birthday. Oh, January 11th is her birthday. So in 5 days, it's Kaylin's birthday. Yeah. And it's like my wife's best friend. Her husband has sleep apnea bad, and he refuses to use the CPAP because they gave him the one that has just the nose thing on it, and it doesn't really work for him because he opens his mouth and then it doesn't work. And he doesn't want to try the either the half face or the full face ones. All right. So for power, there are some certain medical things that you've got to have. Now, everybody remembers Will Russell of Just in Time Prepping. He had his oxygen stuff he had to have, and when the power went out there, he had a little power station there to run for a little while. And as soon as the power was out, he was calling saying, "Hey, I'm on oxygen here. I got about a half an hour or so before I'm in trouble. And so that's kind of kicks them in their butt to get his place up. But if they have a major area-wide thing, there's nothing much they're going to be able to do. So you need to make sure you have something to handle whatever medical equipment you have and keep it going for weeks on end, not just for a couple days. Dealing with the scenario 1 here still. Refrigerator and freezer, I said, you only need to be run for about a half hour every 6 hours. Except for the upright refrigerator or an upright freezer, if you open it up, all that cold air comes out. And one of the things you have to do if you got teenagers is, get a little, I want to say a racquetball paddle, and you start whacking them in the back of the head now, so you break the habit of opening it up. Oh, what do I want to eat? And standing there for 2 minutes with the doors open while they're trying to figure out what they want to eat. My nephews did that over at my mom's house once. For those 3 of them came in, opened it up, and they stood there looking around. My mom started throwing crap at them. And I'm not talking, light stuff either. Books, spoons, then knives. Oh, yeah. They learn. You do not leave grandma's fridge open. You make up your mind what you want to. You open it, get it out, and close that fridge fast. And that's when the power is working. Hey, where to begin, Homestead? And CR from north of the borders. Hey, CR. That's creative redundancy. Now, I actually heard someone say, well, we got one of those new fridges where you push the thing and it changes and you can see everything that's in there. That draws power. Yeah. So, that's one of the things you got to worry about. If you have one of these smart fridges, they're drawing more power all the time than you think. So I'm just catching here. I'll put an alarm out. They open it up. They have so long that it goes off before they close it. Yeah. So talking on a simple one, a 5-week one, think about that and what do you have to make it through that. Now, scenario 2. This is practically a nationwide coast-to-coast event. It was due to maintenance failures all over the place. Greedy the greedy CEOs and stuff up there on the board of directors and stuff pushing off maintenance and stuff. Oh, we saved this much money this year. Oh, we get bonuses. Giving them big bonuses and stuff, and instead of spending the money where they're supposed to be spending it. And now when everything goes down, it goes down everywhere. They don't have any or very few backup transformers to be able to go out and fix things. And it's going to be, 3 or 4 months before the first transformer arrives from Europe to replace the ones that are out here. And you got hundreds of transformers out across the country. It's going to be a while before the grid comes up. It could be several months, or it could be even, heaven forbid, a year. And we're going to put the cap end on it at a year. So it's not going to go longer than a year. But during that year, what other problems are you going to have? Or even with a scenario 1, with the being out for 5 weeks, going to work. Can your work function without power? Do they have backup generators where they can keep functioning? Can your work still, even though it's functioning, can they do business when nobody else has power? Things to think about. Here's the big one. Gasoline. Gas stations don't have power. How are they going to get the gas out of the tanks into your car? How are the even if the store does have generators, how is the trucks going to get it from the depots if the depots don't have backup generators to deliver it out there? And refineries, most refineries aren't set up with enough power to keep everything going all the time. Granted, they have got all the fuel they need, but I don't think they have enough generator power to keep the refinery going all the time. Where'd it go? And he was talking about, or have properly trained staff to do maintenance. So if you're looking at a long-term scenario 2 here, how's your financial situation? Do you have money in the bank to keep making your house payment? Are you going to be able to make your house payment? Even if you have the money, are you going to be able to get the money out of the bank? So, I know some bank offices do have backup generators, but they're not going to run all the time. And so if you're got everything set up on internet transactions, payments and stuff, so it's scheduled, the 15th of the month, this credit card gets paid, the 1st of the month, the house bill gets paid, everything's set up, and power's out, what's going to happen there? And so I don't want to do fear porn here. All I'm saying is start thinking ahead, folks. Think outside the box, think ahead, plan ahead as best you can. And CR brings up a good point. Are you ready to bike everywhere? Walk? Yeah, well, from here where I'm at, I can walk across to the little country store about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks away. But if they don't, they don't have power, how much for the stuff that they have there is gone. All right, Seabass mails his in hers in every month. Not sure what Seabass is, a male or female, so they mail theirs in every month. So Mouse Toes does too. Now, the problem is the post office, the mail sorting room. It's all on power. I have a feeling the postal code's going to go down the toilet, if you have a long power outage. And that's one of the things you're going to have to consider is like, okay, there's going to be so much that we take for granted that even if it's only a scenario 1, 5 weeks, our regional power outage for 5 weeks, there's going to be so much crud. All right, Seabass, thank you. I'll try to remember it. You get a nice kitty, so it's female. All right. I probably said that wrong. I probably offended her. Anyways, if it's a scenario 2 and we're down even longer, there's going to be other problems to look at. And for those type problems, I invited Steve from Corsair Trainers to come up here, but he's not up here. So the best thing for you to think about things that we're not discussing here, go over to Corsair Trainers. And if somebody could put the link to Corsair Trainers in the chat there, one of my mods can put Corsair Trainers in there. He has a series of his tabletop exercises. The last one was for on a bad day, what to do when a bad day happens. And he has some very good things to think outside the box on, and goes over stuff like a classroom on things you need to think about. And Mary Beth, you're pretty much right up to a certain point. Now, I know there are several shops around Idaho Falls here, and I know some back in California, where my wife's at in Martinez, that the only reason why they have a powered cash register so they can print the ribbon off, but they can deal in cash real easy. They got a battery powered calculator, and they can still sell and buy certain things. Now, it's not going to be a lot of stuff, but it's not going to be like the grocery stores. But I'm willing to bet that you're going to find some managers at grocery stores are going to be scrounging for calculators and stuff, and all of a sudden, prices are going to go up flat even. Where something was $1.95, no, it's $2. There's not going to be any change if it's going to round stuff up. Thank you, Mouse Toes. There is Corsair Trainers channel in the chat. Steve is a great resource for information. And as he says, he says he likes to give people reality checks, and he is great for doing reality checks. It's not all dreamy. It's all going to be great once the SHTF happens. No, it's not. It's going to be a pain in the patootie. And Kaylin also put it in there as well. Thank you. So with the thoughts of realizing, you realize, go through with a note paper. Okay, if this happens, no power, what am I going to have a workaround for? Hey, Diggs Outdoors. And one of the things you need to consider, of course, people have mentioned here a little bit, milk. How many? I know Bruce, if Bruce was up here, he'd be saying, I got plenty of powdered milk. That's what we use, powdered milk. Great. How much powdered milk do you have? Do you have a year's worth? I'm lucky in one aspect. One of the guys in my little itty bitty city, Hobble, actually. It's a city. It's on the books as a city. His family owns the dairy half-mile up the road. And so, yeah, they've talked about in an emergency what they would be doing as far as milking cows. And they have jokingly said, all right, you want some milk, you come up, you milk a cow, you get 1 gallon, we take 3 gallons. You want to milk every day, every other day or whatever, or twice, whatever, you can, they'll give you milk. He was joking, they said they'd give people milk for milking the cows to keep the cows producing. CB, no, ow. Well, part of being a prepper is knowing when to take it easy so you don't get hurt worse. Hey, Chef Kicker, how you doing? All right. Let's see what we got there. All right. So on a longer term duration, one of the other things to consider on scenario 2, medications. Everybody write it down. Medications, prescription medications. Write that down too. How many of you are on, don't answer it in side chat, this one. This is just for you to think and answer to yourself. How many of you are on insulin? How many of you are on other medications that they only give you a 30-day supply for? How many are on medications like insulin that needs to be refrigerated? All stuff to think about. I know if you're a good prepper, you've already been thinking about that. But some of you may not be thinking, oh, power is going to be out for a month? Oh, crap. Yeah, that's some of the stuff you need to think about. So in planning for along those stuff, so the power's out, it's like, crap. Now I can't plan. It's already happened. It's powerful. The system's down. We're screwed. Well, you're not really screwed yet. And so, the power's not out. You can do stuff. Write stuff down, plan, work on it. If you have a significant other, talk to them about it. Because, I wish I'd saved that article. The Patch Network, News Patch Network stuff across the United States, Martinez Patch in California, I'm signed up with there. They're expecting brownouts and total blackouts starting in about possibly starting in 2 weeks, weather related. And if in 2 weeks the cold hits Southern California like it did Texas last year, Southern California's not set up for the same amount of coldness. Yeah, they got stuff going to the mountains and stuff, but they're down in the city. They're not prepared for that type of cold. Now, I'm not on any meds, but hey, I take my vitamins. I take my vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, magnesium, calcium, all the fun stuff. what vitamins do you need to take to stay healthy if the power's out? All right, now one more thing about power outage, which I should have touched on earlier more than I did. Power goes out, but I got natural gas, so my furnace will work. No power, no furnace blowing, no electrical spark to turn the furnace on. How much power does your furnace need to run? Not the AC portion of it, just the furnace. What's the amperage draw, the wattage draw to start, engage the motor, and run for a little bit? That's something most people don't think about. Now, there are some companies out there that have some pretty daggone big power stations that you can get, and they're you're going to start paying some money for some of these. But if you don't have a fireplace in your house or a wood burning stove currently, and your gas furnace or propane furnace is the only thing you have to heat with, do you have the ability to keep your furnace running when the power's out? Okay. Yeah, Emma, you're right. Some of those power stations cost thousands of, and I froze. Yeah, so they cost thousands of dollars. Some, the bigger ones. Of course, along that line, if you are a do-it-yourself person, you can go to some place like Batteries Plus or Sam's Club, Walmart, and you get the deep cycle batteries, and then you get a couple 100-watt solar panels, 600 watts worth of solar panels, whatever, off of Amazon, and for about $1,500, you can build yourself a really nice power station in your garage. And if you want, in all actuality, if you were to buy the lithium batteries or the iron lithium phosphate batteries, you could build a much better one for yourself than what you're paying for, like Blue Eddy or Titan or Energy to store with. Yeah, that's called Murphy's Law, Emma. That's called Murphy's Law. You save up money to get one of the big ones, and something happens. And exactly, Seabass, those hand warmers and stuff, they're one shot. Well, there is some ones that are rechargeable, but you got to have a refrigerator to put it into to cool it off. So to make it re-gel, so you snap the thing and it works. But most of the hand warmer things are one shot use only. So thinking about this, just speaking outside the box here, just thinking off the cuff to try to inspire some people out there, some ideas. If you were to get even just a dual fuel, there's dual fuel and tri-fuel. The dual fuels are usually propane and gasoline. The tri-fuel has another little valve in there, some more stuff on it too, because it burns a little bit differently than the natural gas does. If you have a dual fuel generator, how much propane do you have on hand? Hey, Ginger Ninja. Oh, yes. Generator for Christmas, yes. There are varying sizes of tanks. There's the little ones you get there at the exchange places like at Home Depot, Walmart, Lowe's. Those are the 5-gallon / 20-pounders. Then there are the little bit bigger ones you see on a lot of travel trailers. Those are the 30-pounders, 7.5 gallons. They have ones that are 100-pounders, 50-pounders, bigger bottles and stuff that you can get. And you can even, these are ones that you buy yourself. You take them down to the wherever some gas station that sells propane and fill them up, or you get one of the bigger tanks and have it put on a pad at your house, and you just have built your generator shed out there to have the generator in it. You just run extension cords into the house. Different ways you can think about doing things. Look into what it's going to cost you to invest in it, and what your budget output is going to be for it. Prepping is, and a lot of people don't realize, prepping is all about budget. You don't go out and buy, oh, I'm a prepper now, I'm going to go out and buy the $3,000 sniper rifle. No, you don't need to do that. You need to budget, figure out what you really need the most, and work on that. And so when it comes to a power outage, this is one caused by Mother Nature that just happened to trip nationwide. Figure out what you're going to need for several weeks and what you're going to need for up to a year, if the power's out for up to a year. Now, down in Louisiana during the hurricanes, but they fixed everybody up really quick, 4-6 weeks, and power was back up. The problem was they had people coming in from all over the United States to help out. They brought in crews from other states to help out, but those crews aren't coming because they're going to be working. And I froze. Those crews aren't coming to help out because they're staying in their own local area, trying to get their local area up and running too. Now, some areas, like California used to be back 30 years ago, where they had hundreds of hydroelectric power plants across the state. Some of them have smaller, power stations and stuff. And so they will slowly, around those power production facilities, start going out farther and adding power more and more as they get capability of it. So there'll be some areas that will get power first, and other areas will take longer to get power. Yeah, and Kaylin says some grocery stores have the propane cages as well. And you know what's neat? I picked up a couple of propane tanks. Someone had they had a garage sale. Nobody wanted to buy them, and they wanted to get rid of them. They just put them out on the curb and put free on them. As I was driving by, I stopped, grabbed both of them. I took them up, they used them for the propane tank exchange. Exchange those for fresh, full ones. Good to go. Oh, okay. So Alaska Prepper says in Alaska, they couldn't get smaller propane tanks refilled. With propane, only home delivery was available. Now, was that all across the state or just in a local area? So that may be the thing. Maybe it's been a local area problem too. So, and so things here, it's like here, fortunately where I'm at, I got a gas station 7 blocks away that has a propane tank on it. I go up to the next town up, and there's 3 gas stations there that have propane fill on them. And I go in Idaho Falls, and it's like propane everywhere. Yeah, Emma, I've seen some ones, a couple RVs that had the giant ones on there. I think you're right. They, I think you're right. They might have been 40-gallon ones. Twice the size of the 5 gallons to 10 gallons. It might have been 15-gallon ones on there, but generally they don't like anything bigger than that on an RV, especially if they got 2 of them, because of the hazard on it. Oh, that's the other thing. If you lose heat because your furnace isn't running, how long before your water pipes freeze? Also, if there's no power, how long can your municipality provide water before they got to stop providing water because they can no longer provide clean, safe water through the water treatment plant? Okay, so hopefully I've given you all something to think about, giving you a place to ideas to work on, things to do, so you can take care of it so you don't get stuck this winter. And even if it's even if it's a 1 week power outage, you'll be able to deal with it. Let me jump over here, grab this up. So tomorrow night on Camp Patton Family Compound, go ahead and shift around here. So on my Camp Patton Family Compound, it's too long to put both the names on there. The topic for Friday night on the Homestead is sourdough starters and wild yeasts. So we're going to be talking about that because, hey, you can only get, yeast from the store will only last so long when you get it and freeze it. And if you buy the blocks and freeze it, they only last a couple of years frozen. And the other stuff, once you open it, you got to start using it because it only has a couple months worth, and even keep it in the fridge before you have to do it. Hey, none y'all back, none blah blah, Nunya Texas on the back for 20. Ugh. That's almost like my first name, not Gil, my full first name. All right, so tomorrow night on Camp Patton, Friday on the Homestead, sourdough starters and wild yeast. We're going to talk about that. Mouse, anybody else out there that deals with sourdoughs and stuff, if you would be willing to come up here and lend your experience on it to the people, I would appreciate it. Let me know, and I'll send you the link. And over. So coming up on Monday, the Monday Fireside Chat, we're going to talk about snow removal. And some of you down there in Florida and stuff, I remember a time back in the 70s when there was snow in Florida and the orange crop froze and it was really nasty. And I remember living down in Southern California when we got snow down by the Burbank Airport. So, Mouse has never done sourdough. Okay. So anybody that's done sourdough, if you're willing to come up here and share your experiences, I'd appreciate it for tomorrow night. All right. Tuesday on Grayman Prepping Tactical Tuesday, we're going to talk about fuels. Make it go, make it burn, make it light. So we're going to talk about different fuels and stuff and ways you can make it last. All righty. Okay, what's Pastor McQuaddy say here? You have about 15 to safely get water from your faucet before it becomes contaminated. You got about 15 days or 15 hours before it gets contaminated. Yeah. Once power's restored, boil your water 3 to 7 days till they get it. Depending on your municipality, certain municipalities they say 10 days. All righty. 15 minutes. 15 minutes, she says. Well, I know when the power goes out, having worked underground construction with water, sewer and stuff in California, they have the big, huge tanks up. And those tanks will last several days before they drain empty. So, they got tanks in the city. All the hills in the city are just, all these tanks with water on it. And so, and at least in Northern California, Contra Costa County, Alameda County, Solano County. Yeah, so they got enough water supply there, but it's just getting it from the mountains and stuff. And check with your city for sure, because your city may have a irrigation pipeline set up to draw where water is gravity fed from another area where they get the water from, and it brings it in. I know here in town they got 2 generators down at each well site. They got 2 wells for the city, and they pump well water straight up out and store it in the tank. Yeah, see, some cities have thought and used their brains and actually are prepared for several days of outage. All righty. With that, I would like to thank everyone for coming in here, everybody in the side chat, for all your input and information. And so, as always, everyone, stay happy no matter what life throws at you. Stay safe. Don't go out and do anything foolish. And keep on adding to your preps: water, food, medicines, clothing. And hopefully I'll see everybody tomorrow night over on Camp Patton Family Compound for Friday night in the Homestead. Take care.